What is up, guys, and welcome to another video. Jalen Brunson drops 41 and Knicks win by 4 against a 7 and 33 Blazers team. Yeah, pretty bad Blazers team, but the Knicks do come out with a win. That's all that matters. But it's second of the back to back. There's definitely things to learn about from this win, but it's just like, look, it's a second of the back to back. Jalen dropped 41. Look, there's a lot of things to talk about, but Jalen had 41. So Hart was out tonight, which he's one of those big parts on the glass, which we were missing him for the rebounding aspect. Just him being out tonight and just pain tolerance in his knee. It's just something that it's really weird with him because it's been something that's been bothering him for a long time. Hopefully he can hopefully he can slowly get himself back into his knee feeling better, so we don't rush him back. But we still want to play, and he will probably be taking the floor, I think, on Saturday, but hopefully. Um, but yeah, my first note, let me talk about the Wizards trade with the Pistons and how they got Bagley and Livers for Mike Muscala and Danilo Gallinari. They didn't play Muscala or Danilo Gallinari, but they definitely, when they got Bagley, I think their sights were sought on. Their sights were on. We're gonna start Bagley, and we're gonna hope he can get resurged into a decent basketball player again. Um, he was a second overall pick before Luca, which can always give you that stuff like can always hold on to you. But I think Bagley can be a pretty good NBA player still. I think he has time. He's like 24 years old. He has time, and I think he's in a good situation. He had a good game. Had like 21 and 10. I think he's a big player. I think he works more at the four position, but I liked him at the five. Um, but yeah, no Daniel Gafford, which that they kind of can be better without Daniel Gafford. But Kyle Kuzma, one of the top five scorers in the paint. So that was one of the things the Knicks going into the game was like, let's keep Kyle Kuzma out of the paint, as best as possible. And Wizards 17 fast break points per game, second in the league. I ran that down. It's like 17.3 or something. But 17 fast break points, versus ranked second in the league. That's kind of the only way this Wizards team scores, and they just outran us. They outran the Knicks, and I think that's the biggest kind of part of why they kind of win this back. They kind of not won, but they kind of keep it close because they were able to push. They were able to get in transition, and that was big for them. Um, but Wizards are the worst second half team in the league. So I was thinking once it was close in the first half, we're just gonna blow it away, but no, we didn't. That team really showed some resilience. But 30th in rebounding is for the Wizards. They just can't rebound the basketball, but today they did. So hey, it was a team rebounding type effort. But who's OG Anunoby gonna guard? He guarded a lot of people. He guarded Kuzma, he guarded Poole, he guarded Denny. Like he was guarding everybody around. That's as advertised of what he can do. Uh, yeah, I mean he did pretty good on Kuzma. He he did pretty good. Um, but you know, besides that, um, yeah. Let me talk about my post game thoughts on the game. Is that Denny was guarding Brunson, so Denny, the big wing for the Wizards, who's very long and is kind of supposed to be this very defensive stopper type big wing, but he hasn't been that in his career. But Daniel Brunson cooked him. It didn't matter. But yeah. And then we had OG on Kuzma. Started out the game guarding Kuzma, which is their top gun, of course. So I would expect that, and I would expect him to guard Scotty going in the Saturday night, that's gonna be a freaking big, big game. Holy, that's gonna be a big game. Um, but you know, just gotta hope that the Knicks can stay composed and get the W. Um, on Saturday. That's gonna be a big game. I cannot wait. I actually cannot wait for that game to be. It's gonna be a time. Um, 4 turnovers in the game starting. I mean, just they just had 4 turnovers like in the first like 5 minutes. Wasn't really a good game for them turnover wise. Um, just they couldn't handle the basketball, and that helped the that helped the that helped the Wizards get in transition because they were turning over the ball a lot, and the Knicks just turned over the ball, and the Wizards were just scooping it up, scoring. M Fournier got some minutes, didn't like it at all. Rather see Precious Achiuwa at the four, because I want Precious Achiuwa and iHeart just to see it. I don't really care if it doesn't work, but I just don't. We already know what will happen if Precious plays. I mean, if Evan plays minutes, like it ain't good. Like it ain't good basketball. So let's just not do that anymore, and maybe let's trade him. But Wizards were outrunning the Knicks. I mean, they were just out pushing the Knicks, and that's what I kind of thought going in the game. That's the only way they were going to keep up with the Knicks team was going to be pushing the basketball, and that's what they did. Um, Randall was playing with the bench, so they need him to play with the bench, and he did it, but it didn't really help. My thing that I kind of opposed, what I kind of told was like, can we sit iHeart like at the 6 minute mark and then play him with the bench? Because he's just so good at passing. It would be just another guy who can play make. Um, but I didn't like Randall with the bench. But Grimes just wasn't aggressive, and I feel like this is his last game as a Nick. I just don't. I feel like he's gone. I just don't. Uh, he wasn't aggressive. It was a lot of swing. It was just, trade rumors stink. Like we were so gifted with having such players like Emmanuel Quickly, like R.J. Barrett, who didn't really listen to the trade rumors and just played through them and just didn't look like they cared and about him. Even Julius Randle, like didn't look like look like they care. But sometimes stuff happens where somebody's in the trade rumor market and they start to play terrible. They start to play, they start to play less, and you know, they start to play like less aggressive. So that's what kind of supposed to happen. That's what happened to Grimes today, and it's kind of like the way out for him. 16-point turnaround for the Wizards. They turned it around, and the Knicks were just. I mean, it's a whole game. The Knicks were just about to pull away, and then the Wizards just were there. And the Knicks were trying to pull away, and then the Wizards were there. It's just I just don't understand how they kept pulling on the rope. But I guess the second to back, the Knicks were up by 10, and we cut it back to 2. Like the Knicks were up by 12, then they cut it back to 4. Like they just kept keeping with the game. They were very resilient and just kept with the game. But Wizards played Randall out of the game. I don't know. They ran some doubles. Randall just wasn't really in the game at all, and that was not good. Um, Dante was on fire and to close the game. Sometimes it just didn't look like he was. Sometimes it just looked awful for him. But as he started to close the game, um, it sort of looked better. And the Brunson burner, we could talk about all day long. The way he just, closed that game. And the Wizard analyst said that it's great to have a closer. And that's what he said. He's like, Knicks have themselves a closer. And that is just what he gives us, just somebody that you can give the ball to. That Magic game would have been won, and I think we know that now by seeing what he did against the Wizards. Just knowing that if we had him in the Magic game, that game would probably most likely be a win. Yeah, but that's probably it. And hopefully, because Jalen Brunson had some tough falls today. Hopefully, his ankle's ready to go on Saturday against a tough Raptors team who are rejuvenated, and I think they should be rejuvenated. They have, they picked a direction. They have good players, good role players at worst. They have good young stars, and I just think they're a team that you cannot write off. Like you see them on the schedule, you can't sleep 15 minutes later. Like you have to get up. So it's like there's that type of team now. it's really hard to sleep on that team. And Scotty Barnes, lead top gun, is just he's doing great this season by shooting the three ball, giving them more spacing. They have Emmanuel quickly. I've talked about him a lot. Talked about him a lot. He's a very good complimentary piece for them. And start talk about RJ Barrett. The way he's able to score downhill is something the Knicks need to kind of stop. And if there's somebody who knows to stop, RJ Barrett very well, it's Tom Thibodeau. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke because Tom Thibodeau just did. You know what? I don't think that you will want to see OG on RJ Barrett. I just don't think that will happen unless they get cross matched somehow. I just don't think that will happen. I think OG Anunoby will be guarding Scotty Barnes as he should because he's the top gun. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun game to watch. Cannot wait for Saturday. Probably gonna be a longer video on Saturday because there'll be more to talk about. This game just was a lackluster game for both sides. That's gonna do it. Have a nice day and let's go Knicks. Peace.